on that she laying there on the bed nursing the baby, and something white like a woman over by the window, and she said, "Mommy," and said, next thing she knew that they called up Mommy.
Well, I can remember them living in the tent there at the mouth of the Uncle Jim Dolliver's holler.
But after that, they built that house over there, Cold Spring. And then they lived there. And after they lived there, then they moved back down there to Mineral City.
And then he built a house at Mineral City?
Yeah, he built
See, now Don was born up at Ruffner. That was in 1928.
Well,
but they built 2 rooms there at Mineral City. And that's where I was born in 1925. Nig was born in Mineral City. I was born in me and Nig. Well, where was DeWitt born? Brayham?
He was born down at, you know
that
first house. Davin came in that first house.
We used to call him. That's first house.
That
At that time it wasn't, but when we went to school, all those houses were.
And then them other people lived in another one. And old Mary, as an old hunky woman, lived in the next one. And then what is that? Mounts man lived in another one. And Bishops lived down in that way.
Now there's 8 or 10 houses through there.
And well, there's just one row, and there's a row in the back where DeWitt lived.
Yeah, well, that was Digger.
No, he wasn't. I thought Dad always told me that they worked for him, and they came back up there.
They never did work for him.
They had high heel shoes on.
Yeah, he put on high heel shoes to make him think of the woman.
Dad watched him, and he said that you know that little apple tree used to sit over there, and Dad got behind that little tree, and he watched him, and he had his gun, and he come up. And Dad said he looked all around, and he changed shoes there at the gate, and went in the gate. He said, "I let him pull about 2 ears of corn," and he shot at him. He said, "You're going through a corn patch." Store. I forget the doctor's name, but he always made us come up to the store, you know, that's where you tell. They write down, you know, the calls the doctor comes to. And Dad told him he wanted to watch to see if anybody come to pick the, what did you call it, the buckshots out of me. But finally that fellow did, and that's who stole his corn. And Dad said he always talked to him and everything when he passed by there.
And did he live there in that second house beside John Davis?
He lived in one of them houses. I don't know which one it was.
John Davis, beside John Davis. Yeah. Now that was well, Grandpa died in 41, so it had to be
in the 30s.
Yeah.
Because I was home whenever that Granny used to come and help us.
They lived in that first house.
Daryl was scared to death of her.
She would walk up to our house.
And she was the best soul in the world.
And bring us little old snuff cans, and that tickled us too, Dad.
And you know, she would look at you like this. I think that's why Daryl was so scared of her. She'd, you know, come on to your mammy, she'd say, and Daryl would see, you know, like that.
Oh, I can remember.
Because we were trying to get her so I could go to school.
And she stayed with us too. Because I remember her used to come there. In fact, as we grew older and going to man high school, she died. We used to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. She was really good to us, wasn't she, Ella?
Mm-hmm. She was old too.
She was old then. But she couldn't hardly. She just look at you out of the one eye, you know.
She didn't do any work. She just stayed there.
And plus.
No, she didn't do any work. She just wanted.
Played with the kids more so than anything. Lord have mercy. Clothes, washing clothes, and everything.
Just an essential.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Put them out on the line and freeze. They freeze stiff as boards.
Yeah. And you know,
you talk about a ghost. They hang the wrong handles out on the line and they get frozen. That's just like Polly now. The way she keeps her stuff packed all the time.
Oh.
And she had a robe, and I went down there one day, and she had that old robe sitting over here, and the arms was like this. And she had her stuff packed in that and took her socks, good socks, tied the bottom of it, and then tied the top. He was sitting on his head. I said, what in the world is that? She said, that's my clothes because I'm going home tomorrow.
Oh, thank, when we stopped there, that way was it?
Yeah. She don't say anything about going home now.
She does.
She just acts like she's in a daze or something.
Well, that's probably medication you're getting.
And last time
that's-
me and Glenna went to stop there, she looked at us like you could run through us, and oh, she's got a bad place on her foot, and it's all swelled. Her feet were swelled bad, and they told her to elevate her feet. She said, "I'm not going to do it." And Glenna said, "Aunt Polly, put your feet up in this chair here." Said, "You elevate them." "Oh, there ain't nothing wrong with my feet." She said, "I've got big legs," and they were swelled big.
And she wears those knee highs, and they're tight. And Curly said, he told her, he said, "Polly," he said, "you shouldn't have those rubber bands around like you have." And she said, "I've worn them all my life." And he said, "Well, let me cut them." And she said, "No, you won't cut them." And she would not let him do anything. And she had, and you know, they cut off circulation.
Yeah, I can't wear them very long.
I can't either.
I do.
Nance was born in 1930, and then Daddy got his leg cut off September 1931. I know we lived up there that year.
You only worked
Cold
one
Spring.
day in the mines.
No, he worked different times, didn't he?
And
we had
then-
a contract, didn't he?
He
And
didn't
then
work in the mines, he worked in and around the mines.
Yeah, that particular job he had, he went in there that one day and they
Well,
got his leg cut off.
And we must have moved back then. That's when Andersons moved in that house. And we must have moved back then between September 1931, almost, well, Jim was born then in 1932, December. And he was born down there at the house. And then we stayed down there. Corey was born there. And we moved back up there when you were born, in 37. And that's,
What was the reason for that? Why did they keep going back and forth like that?
we had to farm and
And
it
a
was,
garden, a big garden.
and
Oh, yeah.
we could rent the house, you see, and I think maybe they rented the house maybe for $8,500 a month, maybe $50, hard telling, maybe $50 I bet was and Daddy had a lease on that house.
Cold
A
Spring.
lease,
And then he built the one in Dad.
Yeah, well, see, that was already built. And that was just more or less a retreat to go back to whenever we get freeze out.
Oh, I used to just love to go up there and stay in that tent.
Oh.
When they had that tent, they you know, it had a platform like, and it was so nice, but it was tough on Hattie.
In the summertime, of course.
Summertime is beautiful.
That sound like fun for the kids,
Yeah,
because that's like camping out.
yeah.
And that was right there at the gate, wasn't it?
Well, how big of a tent was it?
Oh, it was big. You know, we cooked and everything. She cooked and everything in it.
My
And-
goodness.
I don't know how many kids she had for that time, because I can't remember what year it was.
Like
But
tiny
it
or
had to be in the 30s because I went to Charleston and I went to Detroit in 1936,
30.
and I was working in Charleston in 1932.
No, it couldn't have been in the 30s, Aunt Cora. 1930,
Well,
when Times was born.
See, I'm talking about before I went
Yeah.
to Michigan.
What
And I-
year did you go to Michigan?
Huh?
What year did you go to Michigan?
February the 2nd, 1936, and I ran into the worst ice storm you ever saw, and I'd get out on the street and my nose would bleed because of changing climates.
Yeah, me and Bill was married the 29th of July in 33. And Hattie was living in her house at one old home place
Yeah,
now.
because Corey was born then in 34.
So it had to be in the 20s then that you lived up there in the tent.
Boy, I stayed up there every night.
Oh,
I
I just-
enjoyed it.
Oh, I did too. I just
But,
loved it up there.
They, get up in the morning.
Oh, I think she just had the 3 kids.
She could have had too many of them because it
DeWitt and Frank and
wasn't that much
Sis.
room.
Because they had been living with Aunt Alice and Uncle Jimmy for a while. She's the best thing.
Grandma Alice was the sweetest person that ever lived.
Clean.
And I think he was the meanest person that ever lived. They had a bulldog. And Mama had sent me over there. We lived on the farm up there across from Claypool's then. So I used to walk over there. And I went over there and to borrow some lard. And so I went, when I took it back, as soon as Mom got some, I took it back. And Grandpa Jim was sitting in a chair, and he had a cane, and it had that old handle on it. And he just put that cane right around my leg.
Oh, I remember that.
And I started running, and the dog took after me. That old bulldog they had.
I remember that's the way he used to do it.
Black
This
dog.
was,
Yeah,
And
that's what
no
he did.
matter.
and Daddy was sort of that way.
Yes, he was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He did that to me. Grandpa did.
When Grandpa, I'll never forget, we had a big old trunk on our front porch. And he always, I can just see him sitting out there, leaned against it with that long white beard.
And
Grandpa Brown. And
He always had the beard.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was
long, it was long
Oh,
white.
long, it was long white.
And he would reach that cane over and pull us. to
Yeah,
him.
that's what you would do.
Hey.
You'd wrap it around your leg or arm or something.
And
Or your neck,
Close
it didn't
to it.
make any difference.
You see, Grandpa Brown.
he died in 1928 or 29. 29.
Well,
I believe.
Mom told us about a time that when she and Dad were first married, and they were, I guess they might have been living there. I don't know. Might have been the time you were talking about. And Uncle Jay had done something, and had done nothing actually. And he walked by, and Grandpa just swatted him one, or hit him for just seemingly no reason. And Mommy got
He
mad.
was like that.
Mommy got mad, and she said, "Why did you hit that child?" And Grandma never talked back to him, but he liked Mom because she would stand up to him.
Oh, yeah, she would. She'd stand up to your dad, too.
Yeah,
Stand up to
she
anybody, see him.
she told him. She said, "Why did you hit him? He didn't do a thing."
Mommy really stood up for her. I'll tell you. And she did what she believed in too. When they were going to execute, kill somebody out in Arkansas. Now I took the letters to the post office.
She
and
would
she
say
was-
that. Yes, she would.
And you can
She would-
you can remember
Had
some
addressed
things
to
are lying,
whoever's
but
in
it's
charge of to kill
The executioner.
Yes, sir. She didn't put the governor or anything. She said whoever. And bloody, it didn't come back to her either.
No, it didn't.
You know, I had no doubt they got the letters.
Oh, you ought to have heard her on the, what's your opinion on that channel, Logan, news that comes on every day about 11:30. Oh, yeah. About the roads and about the schools and about different things that's happening, Buddy, now, Hattie was smart.
Yes, sir.
She was no dummy.
No, she sure wasn't.
No, indeed
She
not.
always was a business-like
Yeah.
person.
She always had a business head on. She
She did.
she could compute in that head
I'll tell you what,
better than I
it
could
hadn't been
compute
for her.
on a calculator.
If it hadn't been for her, her family would just have had it harder because she looked out for her family. That's what I think that we all do, you see.
Oh yeah.
But some people don't pay much attention, to taking care of their family, doing this and that.
She was
She
the
was
best.
always going to make a dollar. She's
Uh-huh.
always figuring out how to make a dollar and working on coupons and stuff
Yeah,
like
we
that.
didn't have coupons.
I do the
No,
same
no.
thing.
But what I'm saying, she was always out
Well,
there
that's
making
what,
a dollar.
listen here, that's what we were talking about a while ago.
She
It's
had
not
to.
when people, all of us, if we have enough to take care of ourselves, but some people think maybe we might be stingy or something. No, we're not stingy, we just take care of what we got,
There's a way to do it
There's a
without
way to do it
being
without
stingy.
being- yeah.
and-
When
and,
Dorothy White was sponging off of me those 2 years.
Yeah.
Who was born in 22? Hattie they lived in that house where they lived, where your old home place then,
Yeah.
because one of the kids was born either in
Yeah, I was saying about that.
November or something, because we went up there and Hattie had that baby.
Yeah. I was
Ann
talking about
Dameron
the
had
tent.
brought Hattie's dinner to her, and it was on Thanksgiving or something, or Sunday dinner or some holiday seemed like, and she brought a real nice plate.
Well, did Mom and Daddy, you know there.
Wait, let me make this right.
Now
about
that
the
was
tent.
23.
Yeah, when I was saying something about Mommy, I can remember her telling about that something, the white going across the window, and I don't know whether it was Grandma, when it wasn't Grandma Miller then, because she lived down there now.
Well, she lived down there. Let's
See,
see.
Sis was born,
Who was it?
DeWitt was born 1980.
She told me about that, seeing it.
And I
Like scared
forget
to
who
death.
it was that died.
I can't
But
think.
there was somebody that she got word that somebody died in the family.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think it's Grandma.
Well, Miss Knight did that, you know, with her
Was Di?
twins.
Or
She saw
one of the
it.
girls.
She saw it like
I
a
can't remember.
baby.
See me like it's one of the.
Good on it.
Well, how did you
I
make
never call her
it?
Pud.
Did you
I
ask
don't like
somebody?
that name.
I
I like
knew and I
that good.
can't say so.
I call them all.
And I remember
by
when
name.
I was saying 60. And I just
What'd you find?
I like Pud for a
two
name.
cars up there.
The women concluded that in America, a federally tax-exempt organization, PLAGE, is actually run as Jerry Green's private domain without the normal checks and balances usually associated with non-profit organizations. This is how Invent America is supposed to work. Kids at local schools come up with imaginative inventions, building them with the encouragement of their parents and
Dana.
Ruby, can you tell us what this invention is? I feel like it needs an invent holder.
Dana, look up smile printing off and turn it off.
And you're not a big person.
And I told Joe, I said, I don't need
To win a trip to
anything.
Washington,
After
D.C.
I've been looking for
Jerry
9
Green,
years.
by all accounts, is a genius at promotion, has recruited girls like
Through the, it's the little.
8 millimeter.
You show it through the panels, through the TV.
Well, that there's got a tape in it though.
Yeah.
That's the kind that Mike Bev's husband had done to Constable House. He'd go through and take all the pictures and then, come on, I'll show you. We didn't even know he'd be taking them. So cute.
Well, that weekend that we were all up at Biggs farm.
That's Ford County.
Oh, yeah. You know, I had that Lincoln for 9 years, I drove it, and it still had everything on it, except the gas tank, I believe. They had fixed the gas.
Danielle's getting sleepy. She's staring like an old kid.
She's got that look at me. It's wondered, I'm not
Nancy,
sitting
give
here
her one of
sweating.
those hands on the elephant
Come
park
on,
around
that chair. Patty and I were sitting there
Hey.
talking and watching TV and you're all be going.
But she wakes up early.
Say, Mom. That's what happens when you get up at 4.
Got up 3 times from 7 to bed.
No later than 5.
And I
I
have,
thought, oh heck, this is too early.
that had never been ordered.
I was laying there thinking what could I do. I just got it. You work for that blind sheep.
I have to be at work.
that was in donating money to
Quarters
Jerry
every
Green
day.
has a reputation.
When I understood, I forget who it was told me, it seems like it was Mommy, there was a building, you know there where DeWitt had his trailer, that new trailer?
Yeah,
There's no houses there
at that time.
at that time. And they had a small building. I don't know what the building was for or whatever, but she said that they were living in it when DeWitt was born.
Well, maybe that's where it was.
Until-
Right in there where he was born.
Until they got something done to the house, they were working on the house or something, maybe somebody was renting the house or,
I don't know, they used to live in that first house. I don't know when it was.
well, maybe the house hadn't been built yet. Because if DeWitt was just born, that was only a year, you know.
But anyway, it was
Dab
after
and
that,
Camp was there for
that I
years
went up
and years.
and I was little and I stayed all night. And Jen Perry was aboard at their house, but it seemed to me like that they was living up there in that house where your home place, but it could have been down there.
Well, the
Because
reason
I
we were
remember going
the reason
across
we
the-
were talking about it is that it was ironic that DeWitt lived right there at the same spot
Yeah,
where
where
he
he
was
was born.
born
When he died.
when he died, and that was why she was bringing it up, you know, and it was kind
But
of ironic.
I know that I had wanted to go stay all night with Hattie. And I was just small, and Mommy said, you'll cry, or something like that. And I said, no, I won't. And she had come down. And I went home with her, and when we started going to bed, I got in bed at the foot of her. And I started crying. I wanted to go home. And Jen Perry took me home.
Well, it could have been that,
I was
been that
little,
close, you see, at the
it was
end of
either that where DeWitt was born, or up there, but it must have been that house, because I don't know for sure, but I know, anyway, I remember crossing that bridge.
Yeah. Well, she said there was a little house right in front of Nick's there, right in front of the same area, same spot there where that trailer was. It was ironic that he was born and died in the same 100 feet.
The only thing I can remember about 1918 is when we lived over in the camp, Parsons Camp there. And we got the flu.
Parsons Camp. Now, where's that?
There, Plain Eagle.
Plain Eagle?
Yeah.
Oh, J.K. Parsons.
Well, now,
there.
that one used to be Fortner. That was the name of that place.
Yeah.
That was.
And then we had
City
our little dog.
I was just thinking how that.
Then we had Bruno, our dog, the white dog with the bad eye, brown spot around his eye. And he got the flu too. And I can remember Mommy fixing a box for him and putting him behind the stove because he was sick.
I didn't know dogs could get flu.
Lord,
They
they get
did.
cancer and everything now.
But
Oh,
now,
he did. He got.
That's nice, Pud.
At least he got sick.
You
and
had
started
those-
talking
that
about
water
it
was
when he
getting there.
come to
There was
shop.
a man carried me out, and we went to a little black church. I can remember that. I can remember everywhere that church was at. And I was small, but I can remember that, hearing things hitting that water. Oh, it's a big flood. And Everett was a baby, or either she's pregnant. I don't know, can't remember that.
Everett was a baby then. That's what I said. I remember 1918.
I thought she's pregnant. I didn't know.
That was the flood.
Yeah,
That was
it
the
seemed
year
like
of the flood.
she was either pregnant or she hadn't had any. I was thinking, and those two men, Dad and some other man, carried Mommy out in a chair, and there was some man come back and I went out, but I don't remember about where.
She might not have had Everett yet because Everett was born in June.
And
that flood
we went
was
to. They took us to a little
earlier.
old black church house and
That
had
might
black
have been
tar
more.
paper on it.
So she
And I
probably
asked,
was still pregnant.
I asked Stella Adkins where that church was, and she said it was down at mouth of Big Spring.
That's where the black church was.
Now, I remember the 37 flood, when it washed
That's
that
the
old,
year. That's the year I was born. I've heard him talk about that.
that's the year that washed that, railroad
Railroad
bridge out.
trestle out. I remember
They
that.
having store over.
I
Cause we,
remember
I'll
that.
tell you,
There's so many little things.
we used to walk up the railroad tracks coming home instead of crossing the bridge down there and coming up the highway, the gravel highway. It was paved. And we'd come up the railroad tracks and walk those blocks. Boy,
Yeah.
it's good exercise. And cross that bridge. And I'd always have to
Well,
walk
there'd
in
been
the
a lot of
middle.
those dogs got killed on that bridge.
And then we'd come on up.
There was.
Get off, we'd get up onto the highway then, there at the end of that
And you know how they had outhouses sitting close to that
Creek,
creek there.
washed them away.
And then they just took all of
Took
them
it all.
down. We could see them going.
Cleaned it out.
I can remember, we could see them
Yeah,
going.
and I remember back down in there, and I was, they doctored with that, they call it red whiskey. But they give you a little she gave me a little teaspoonful, and I spilled it. And I know she said, that's all right, honey. And I can remember that, but can't remember everything because it's too little. But I just do remember a few things, like that.
And then Polly was going with,
Yates Hill.
Now that was World War I.
yeah.
Yates Hill.
And he had to go into service, I remember that.
She had his picture enlarged in hers.
Yeah, I know she did. Polly was a beautiful gal.
Then she went to date another guy. His name was,
Remember his name was Oscar.
Polly was a real good looking girl.
She was.
Well, all you all were pretty.
She was young and real pretty.
Just think you and Aunt Polly and Aunt Ella.
No. Uh-oh. Hey, let me see. What's that? Let me see. Well, it was a lady that I hadn't seen in 20 years. Yeah. Going up on her.
Who's that?
I was talking to my sister's house and she did too.
Hey, Ma, you know what I'm talking about, that lady, that dog?
I seen
And the
her
boy,
for a while.
Earl, said,
Yeah, they said they seen you.
Earl said, why don't you marry that lady? He said, I ain't gonna marry a dog. And numbered, and couldn't even get her wrist was so big the handcuffs.
Oh, that's
And he was, couldn't even put him in the police car, he had to get the white seat. And they videoed it all. So when they did the pictures, they put it one of those there.
Well, you remember Homer Preston, don't you? Take that. We was dating, I was dating his daughter. We was driving down through, left the drive-in, going down through there and looked at the clock and it's 10 minutes till 1. That old 69 Bonneville, I think it's fly. I let her eat going down the road. And Sergeant Reedy caught me coming off Pennyroll Road, 69 mile an hour to 45.
Oh.
And I explained to him, he gave me a ticket. Got her home, about 10 minutes after 1, her dad wasn't even home. So here I got a ticket for nothing. Didn't tell Dad. Told Mom I was juvenile, so she had to take me to Lebanon. $75 cost me on the ticket.
Did she help you pay it?
Who?
Girl.
No, Lord no. And
he had it figured where, you know, the door went in, when you go in the door, what we call the hallway. It wasn't much of a hallway, it's just an opening there, and the chimney was right straight back, and then the door went this way.
There's two doors.
These two doors. Well, this door went this bedroom, this one in here. And then right on the outside of that door, he had this little storage closet. In the bathroom there, on that end of that, on that end of the porch. And he put this little storage for it, wood and coal or whatever we wanted to use.
Store dirty clothes in.
And dirty clothes, and Mom washed out there on the porch. And that may take a wash.
Talking about that last night.
Yeah, that little closet and throw it in.
It changed the entrance, closed that off, and put the entrance over at the end. And stepped down, and that great, he put a big wide sidewalk in at that end. Changed the gate down here at the.
It used to be in the center.
Yeah, it should be about sure. With that pictures we have all of us sitting there with me and Times, and I had that little crooked head dog sitting on the steps coming out the front.
And there was an apple tree there.
My dad used to take like the suppers when they were on Ripple. He would take a banjo string and drag it across and catch it.
Well, it's you know, DeWitt and Irish Moot, I think, and Fred Bryant or whatever, 2 or 3 of them got over on the cliff, up on the little flat, and where the different holes there are. And I remember that they had 2 of these number 3 wash tubs. Just about as fast as they could throw them over onto the other side from the cliff over. I'd put them in the buckets in those tubs. And they had 2 of those tubs full of suckers. And just as fast as they could snare them out of there. You didn't put your bait on the hook.
No, it was a snare.
You snared them.
Well, they got a big wide mouth.
And they'd throw their line down off of that cliff down in there and move them and jerk one out. And they was jerking us 3 of them. They could jerk one out there just ever so often. We had bottoms of 2 of those tubs. I had some water in
There's
them.
just not many fish around like that anymore.
And there was, to me, man, it's big.
Oh, listen, I'd catch
Oh, that was a beach.
Was that kind of right in behind?
right in behind us. Like having a $10,000 swimming pool in our
Right out in the backyard, I'm telling you, and to see that round the cliff, it was about 12, 13 feet deep, I think.
Oh, there's big guy wires from the.
All the way to the top of the cliff.
Like that, and the boys would climb that cliff and go up on top and walk across and drop down into that water.
Walk out about
We've seen that.
20, 25 feet, they have to hand walk. So, see, the guy line was at the top of the telephone poles over here, see, on the street. And we all the way across creek up into the, above the cliff into the mountain, where it got off. Big half-inch cable. And they get there and hand walk that thing out to over where they get in the water and drop off.
Did you do it too?
Nobody.
But was any of them ever hurt?
No, sir.
The Blankenship boys and Bowden, Roger Bowden and
Buddy
Carmel and all of
Thompson
them,
and
all those
Bill
guys.
Sparks.
Well, I was
Tom
too young.
Lafferty and
Mom
all.
wouldn't let me do something like that, and I was too scared.
Now, we have climbed up.
Swimming up there,
The Blue Hole.
Uh-huh,
That's
Blue
where I was
Hole.
first baptized, the Blue Hole,
Yeah, me too.
right there. Of course, it's all grown up now.
No
Oh.
water.
You can't even hardly tell where the